dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just to let you know, we've got a brand new website, drcharlieward.com, where all our videos will be loaded over the next few weeks, and you'll be able to view all of those there's no charge for watching any of those. We've moved them all onto our own platform because all the doctor ones, which are very, very important, have been taken down, so we've now got control over those, but every single video we post will be free to watch. That's very important for you to know. The other thing is we're getting an awful lot of people asking us about gold and silver. And I've always been an advocate of gold and silver. And myself, I'm not in a position to give financial advice. I'm not qualified to do so. I'm just going to tell you what I've personally done. I've personally bought gold and silver, and I've used a company that I trust, which is shown below here. They've always looked after me well. And if you order from them more than £250 worth, you get a free 1 ounce silver coin, which is very, very nice. It's a nice little gift. But this is not an endorsement. This is just what I have done personally, and it's up to you. It's your choice. As I said, I'm not qualified to give the advice, financial advice, but it's just what I have done personally. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy watching all of my videos. Thank you. David, tell me about your flat Earth.
Well, so I'll tell the story, and people that are hearing this, that have seen me, everyone knows my story. Nobody says, "Hey, I want to be a flat earther." You get dragged in kicking and screaming, and that's what happened to me. And I tried to prove the globe, and here I am. 6 years later, I quit my job. I'm doing this full time. And I'm trying to speak to nice people like you and others to spread the word and let people see what they haven't seen because of programming.
Yeah, I get that.
So we were just talking before the show, and you said you've taken numerous flights, and you've flown around the world.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So around the world, can I share my screen? Do you have
of course.
I'm going to share.
Do that. That's good.
So if you can see this, can you see this model I have up
here? Yes,
there?
I can.
Okay, this is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Okay. And I'm just going to give a quick description of what the Flat Earth model is for those people that don't know or think they know and don't know. And then I'm going to talk about circumnavigation. So the sun is attached to the hour hand. I'll speed it up. It goes around once every 24 hours, just like we see. And it laps the moon once every 28 days. So you see the moon falling farther and farther behind.
Yeah.
So that explains the differences when you see the sun and the moon in the sky. So I'll slow it down. I'll turn on the stars. The stars are going almost the same speed as the sun, but they're going slightly faster. But it takes 365 days for the stars to lap the sun. So slowly, one by one, this sun is moving into this constellation. It'll be in here for about a month, and it'll go into here. Then a month later, it'll be in Pisces. And so these are the wheels, excuse me, the wheels in the sky keep on turning. Everyone knows that song.
Yeah.
It's a perfect clock. So jumping back, I'm going to stop it here.
Yeah.
In the Flat Earth model, the North Pole is the center of the Flat Earth. So think of the Flat Earth as not a disk in space. That's not what it is. Think of it as a giant pond. The world oceans is just a pond, and the shoreline of the pond is Antarctica. And Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. That makes sense because a pond is a depression in the land, and you fill it with water, and then the higher land surrounds it. So Antarctica is this higher land that surrounds the world pond. Okay. So you have all of these continents, these islands. So if you put a compass down anywhere on here, the needle has to point towards the north, right? So the north is the center. So if I leave California on an airplane and I set my compass for 270 degrees dead south, I can't go in a straight line. A straight line is not 270 because that'll rotate. I have to keep my needle pointed to the south. So I have to keep taking a right-hand turn and I feel like I'm going straight, but I'm actually going in a circle.
Yeah.
Okay. This does not prove that the Earth is flat, because it's the same thing on a globe. If you were 1 mile from the North Pole, if we lived on a globe, and you wanted to go west or east, you'd have to maintain your 1 mile distance from the North Pole, and 3.14 miles later, you'd be back to where you started, and you just walked in a circle. But a circle this big, you wouldn't never notice that you're turning.
Sure.
Okay. And then if you're going east, it's the same thing. You can even go from, America, you head north in a straight line. As soon as you pass the North Pole, you're now heading south, and you're over in Japan and Indonesia. Okay. What nobody has ever done, I'm going to turn off the compass. What nobody has ever done is gone south from like Santiago and gone south and then popped up over in Australia, or south from Johannesburg and popped up over in New Zealand. Nobody has ever done that. If the Earth was a globe, that would have been done. Or if you say it's too dangerous to fly over Antarctica for some crazy reason, just staying at that like 55 degrees south, you should be able to go around the small part of the globe, and it'll be, you'd be there in no time. I'm going to show you a flight route real quick, but before I turn the zap off, if you have a question, you hit the question mark, upcom, all the questions people would have. Where's the edge? Who's behind the lie? Or, what about gravity? Or why the lie? That's a good one. If you click any one of those, like why the lie, up come a list of videos that will explain everything. The app has a whole bunch of other features, but it has, what I tell people is, if you hate flat Earth, get the app. It's $2.99. And watch every day. There's a new featured video. I put short ones up during the week, longer ones on the weekend. And I say, take the Flat Earth app challenge. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks. And then you'll know, at least a minimum, there's a major problem with the globe. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And
can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
Why is it then, this is just an open question. Why does the water go down a plug hole the opposite way on the north of what I think is the equator and the south of the equator?
That's a myth. That's actually not true. There's some scam artists at the equator that do this thing with a drain and a sink, and they have that literally there's a line that says this is the equator, and they go on one side and they pour it in. They're pouring the water in to the left, and it has a little circle or circular turn to it. Toilets, sinks, drains, sinkholes in Australia do not spin in the opposite direction. I have drains in my house that spin in the opposite direction of each other, and I'm not on the equator. So that's just a myth. But storms normally south of the Tropic of Cancer and north of the Tropic of south of the Tropic of Capricorn and north of the Tropic of Cancer do tend to spin in the opposite direction. But that's for a whole nother reason. But they don't always. They don't always, and we can get into that a little bit. But let's stick with plane flights for a second. So right here, this is the normal. There's two different routes, but this is the normal route from Australia. They go all the way up across the equator into the north. They cut across, and they go all the way down to Santiago. Why didn't they just cut underneath or just cut across here, which is tighter on a ball than this map is even showing it? And the answer is because they can't, because this is the layout of the Earth, and these same flight paths are a straight line on the flat Earth. Okay. So this is how they fly, and there's normally 2 stops for refueling and stuff, but there are some direct flights that often get canceled. They have major time differences. Sometimes they're 5 hours different, and that's because there's some high level winds at 40,000 feet that go like 200 or 300 miles an hour. And when they get into these pretty reliable tailwinds, and on these special planes that go faster than, let's say they go 600, 700 miles an hour. That's enough to make these flights work perfectly.
Is that not the jet stream?
Well, it's a different jet stream. I could show you on the app, but what's funny is these jet streams are at 40,000 feet. This outer loop of wind is very consistent, but it's been missing for the last 2 weeks. It's been gone.
Wow.
It's stopped. Something totally different is happening in the sky. And Charlie, we can get into that in a minute. But so circumnavigation has been done billions of times, probably tens or hundreds of times by you, east and west.
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe even the shortcut over the north, but that works on both the ball and a flat Earth. What's never been done is no one's ever gone south and popped up the other side. This is the world record holder for circumnavigation. This is up in the north. They went all the way down. They stopped over here on the East Coast. They went to these islands. They went over here. They went over to Santiago. And then they went out to the shoreline. This is Antarctica. Then they turned around, came back, and went all the way up and around. And that wins that got the world record for circumnavigation. This is what it looks like on a flat Earth map. Okay. That's not circumnavigation. That's a total scam. And, they're lying about, where are we going? Did you know that all of the international flight routes are controlled by NASA?
Yes.
Okay. So they're all controlled by NASA. Are you aware that NASA lies?
I didn't know that they told the truth.
Well, some people, I'm just feeling you out, Charlie. I don't know. Some people what about NASA? I could show you real quick, just a couple things. A couple of years ago, 2016, NASA goes, look, we got this new picture of Jupiter we see the northern lights on Jupiter. And of course we go, that's Photoshop, that's garbage. And the people that defend the ball go, no, that's really what it looks like. You can't prove that that's Photoshop. But if you look at this picture now, supposedly these rings of gas and storms are spinning in different directions. If NASA showed us some grainy video, but if you overlay this picture on top of the 2014 picture, every little ripple, every little cloud, every little storm is exactly the same.
Wow.
Okay. So that there shows you got to unwind it from there. NASA are lying, CGI, Hollywood studio. That's it.
Do you believe that anybody's ever been to the moon?
I don't believe the moon is the place you can go. Here's a photo of the moon taken at the exact same time, one in England and one in Australia. And if you look at the moon, these dark spots, these craters, quotation marks, these look blue and these look black, almost like what we're looking at might be a little transparent. The next time there's a large moon in the day sky, go look at it and clear your head of any indoctrination and say, is that 93 million miles? Oh, no, 238,000 miles away, or is that within the Earth system? Is that right within the sky? And, for those of you that don't know, the most flat earthers, probably almost all of them, think that there's some sort of dome over us, and everything we see in the sky is rotating within the Earth system. There's a dome right here, and whether that's a physical dome, a frozen dome, glass, I don't know what it's made out of because I can't go up there. So anything over our head or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica that we're not allowed to explore, that's speculation. So
fascinating,
isn't it fascinating? It's
the
amazing.
One thing I've learned. The one thing my basic story is I grew up in a religious cult called Plymouth Brethren, and I escaped. I had an arranged marriage at 18. And I escaped when I was 23, and then I had to relearn everything. And I'd been told a lot of stuff that was a load of rubbish.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
It stood me in good stead for today and for the whole of this year. The reality is now I question everything. So when people come up with silly ideas, I want to know if there's any. There's the old saying: "There's no smoke without fire."
Yeah.
You're absolutely right there. When I've traveled around the world, it's very easy for me to look down at the route if I'm traveling from Europe down to the Middle East, the Far East. But when you travel from Australia, from Sydney, and I've never traveled from Sydney. Yeah, well, I have traveled from Sydney to Los Angeles.
That's doable on a flat Earth. That's not that bad. You can draw a straight line on both maps. It's when you try to go from one deep southern location to another deep southern location that the problem happens.
Yeah.
So, this is, trying to go from Santiago to here, you got to go into the north. Or these winds I was telling you about actually go around here and they go 200 to 300 miles an hour. There's only one type of airplane that Qantas has that does that direct flight. And that airline, it's hard to get information on it, but it has 7 layers of heat resistant paint. To me, that says it's probably going faster than the speed of sound. Yeah. Then you put a 200, 300 mile an hour, excuse me.
Yeah.
tailwind on it, and all the flight times make absolute perfect sense.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's all fascinating. So, when you said that you were brought up in a religious cult, everyone was brought up in a different religious code. It's called the helio-nonsensical BS model of ridiculousness, because it's more of a religion because it has zero proof. Let's just here's the thing. People that don't like the flat earth have two things in common. One, they don't know what the flat earth model is. They think it's something that it's not, because they researched flat earth for 2 seconds. They ended up at the Flat Earth Society, which Obama plugged a half a dozen times in his speeches. John Kerry, I always say Jim Carrey, mentioned it. The Hillary Clinton mentioned it. That's because the Flat Earth Society is a government-controlled disinformation site that if you go there and look, you will then laugh at flat earth for the rest of your life, and you'll never listen to it again. And so it's a gatekeeping site. But that's one thing. So they have a misconception of what the flat earth is. And the other thing is they don't know what the globe model is. I didn't know what the globe model is when I used to laugh at flat earth, but then I learned what you have to realize. The earth is, do you know how big it is in the heliocentric model?
Go on.
I didn't know any of these answers when I was asked, so don't feel bad. 24,901 miles around. Okay. So it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. Okay. So when you're watching the sunset on the heliocentric earth, you have to believe that you're falling over backwards on a spinning ball faster than the speed of sound. And that's making the sun to appear to go down. It's hogwash. While you're spinning, you're going around the sun at guess what speed in this heliocentric solar lure system. It's going around 66,600 miles per hour.
Wow.
Interesting number. Then it's chasing the sun, as we can see here. The sun's going at 500,000 miles an hour, flying through space. Okay. And the entire system's moving sideways at 1 or 2 million miles an hour. But all of that is going on. And we get lakes like this. Stillness. Mm-hmm. Right? If you tapped your foot on the ground and next to that lake, what would happen? Ripples would go all the way across that lake, right? So all of these motions, curving motions, okay? Curving is acceleration. You could be going, 500 miles an hour in an airplane, and you're fine. But if the airplane turns, everything sloshes. You go in a car, it turns, everything sloshes. So that's not where we live. We live in the what I say, the best way I describe it is it's the basement of the universe. What's below us? I don't know. I don't know. No one knows what's below 8 miles on the globe because the deepest hole ever dug was 8 miles. They hit an impenetrable barrier and they couldn't get through it for years. Drilling, bombs, nothing could do it. So there's another firmament below us and a firmament above us. I don't know because I can't go there and nobody knows.
Fascinating.
Isn't it? Let's look at a little more NASA deception. These are 2 photos of NASA. This one was on everyone's iPhone. It's called the Blue Marble. A NASA artist admitted in an interview that he made this in Photoshop. Okay, we're supposed to believe this is the Earth. Look at the United States here, and look at it here. It's twice the size here. Okay, and these balls are the same width. Okay, that makes absolutely no sense. And if you look at the 2012 picture right here, here's the United States, right? So I made this map and I said, all right, this is what we're seeing. What we're seeing on here is within this circle approximately, right? Yeah. You have to believe that the rest of this land, all of this land, is on the other side of that ball. Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Absolute ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? You fly a lot. Yeah. Right? The words, you know how important words are. Words mean everything. Airplane, earth plane. Okay. Airplanes fly straight and level over the earth, right? When you're flying at 550 miles an hour, you would have to nose the plane down a mile every 2 minutes just to maintain your altitude. Otherwise, you'd fly off into space. Okay. They use gyros on airplanes, and gyros hold rigidity in space regardless of gravity. So when the plane turns, the gyro always stays level with the ground.
Yeah.
Right. And the gyro would take them right into space, but it doesn't. It goes, planes fly straight and level. It's plain and simple once you look at it. And the problem that people have, Charlie, is it's easy to deceive somebody. It's harder to convince them they've been deceived, ego-wise, especially since you've been deceived before you can talk.
Yeah.
All your children's books, Sesame Street, all of the stuff that we watched, all is globe programming. All the movies, Universal Pictures in 1927 had a spinning globe opening up their movies before NASA ever sent anything up in space to see what the Earth is supposedly looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But they nailed it in Universal Studios. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
NASA is just a division of Universal Studios. Questions, or I can just keep laying them out for you?
No, just keep laying it out, because I'm just taking it all in at the moment.
So people go and they Google flat Earth, and they come up with an article, a video that says the top 10 reasons that prove the Earth is not flat. And it's easy to find. I mean, Google brings you right there. And, one of them would be, what about boats over the horizon, right? We see boats disappear from the bottom up. Well, actually, you really don't see boats disappear from the bottom up. This is a camera zooming out. Keep an eye on these boats. These giant boats, poof, they're gone. Okay, watch the next one after the sailboat. It's going to show you a boat and a mountain, and we're using an infrared lens on this one. Here it comes. So they got this mountain and you got this boat. We're zoomed in with a P1000 camera, and as we zoom out, not only will the boat disappear because of its angular size is too small for your eyes to see, the entire mountain is going to disappear. Well, actually, that's not the one, but it gets small. Things in the distance get smaller, and they disappear from the bottom up because the bottom of something has a smaller angular size. Like if you stand up, you can see farther not because of the curvature of the Earth, because we're seeing farther because we're taller.
Yeah.
So this giant ship right here, we're zoomed way in on it. It's clearly above the horizon. And as we zoom out, it's going to disappear because our eyes can't see things smaller than 0.02 arc degrees. Okay. Like, that's why the ship, it's going. If you're standing on the beach and you saw that ship sailing away, you'd say, oh, it went over the horizon. That's why I can't see it. But it's still there. You zoom in on it. It's still there. Like if I took my hand here, you're seeing a very wide hand. But as I pull it away, it's getting smaller. And at a point, at a certain distance, it's going to get so small, you're not going to be able to see it. That's how our eyes work. Pretty cool, right?
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you another one. And I want you to think about this. So we're told that we're spinning and the sun is going down at 15 degrees per hour and it goes all the way around and, it comes back up the other side. Total nonsense. So I put my drone up in the sky on a super clear day, crystal clear. It was like 32 degrees outside. There was no humidity. And I watched the sun come from up here. And in 5 minutes, it went down. And it got right here to this apparent horizon. And it just sat there. This is sped up like 2,500%. And it just sat there for 10 minutes. Okay. It stopped going down. Let that sink in. And then it just, watch what it does. It just faded into the thickness of the soup, the thickness of the atmosphere. Here it goes again. It just faded away. It didn't go below. And by the way, this line here, this line is not the ground. This is where it's the point of convergence. It's where what I call the atmospheric deck of opacity meets the ground. And it's way above the ground, but it's at eye level because everything in perspective comes together. If you're looking at white fluffy clouds in the sky above your head, 25 miles away, those clouds are touching the water. Yeah. That's how your eye sees it. They literally go together. And you can't see them because they're in there. But if you zoom in with a camera, you open that up, you make it bigger, up, and there's the boat again. But when it's already compressed, you can't see it. It's too small to see. Zoom in, it opens it up. The thing with the sun is the deck of opacity is way above your eyes. So here's the deck of opacity. It's above your eyes, and here's the sun. And as the sun just goes away, it looks like it's setting at eye level.
Yeah.
But it's all perspective. It's programming. It's amazing. And once you see it, once you take the time to learn this, you never see the world the same again.
Sure. It's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So let me tell you. One more thing, and then I'm going to tell you why. People throw their hands up at this point. Why the lie? This is the star Arcturus zoomed in with our P900 camera. Okay. Does that look like what NASA shows us a star is?
No.
Right. All of the lights, all of the luminaries in the sky that we see are within the Earth system. I think they're sentient. I think they're godlike. I think they're angels of sorts. I don't have the right words. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're all, you know how astrology is amazing. I don't know. Do you buy into astrology?
I do now. I didn't before.
I'm with you. I thought, how could Jupiter, 25 million miles away, affect my daily life? But what if I told you Jupiter was a sentient energy within the Earth system local to where we are?
That would make sense.
Astrology makes perfect sense on a flat Earth. You know, it's funny. I took 4 years of astronomy in college. I was the man. I knew the stuff. The girls cheated off me. I even tutored them. I was the man because I knew the stuff. Garbage, all nonsense. I wasted 4 years learning about pseudoscience.
The question is, did you get a decent girlfriend out of it?
Well, at the time, right now I have a lovely girlfriend, but it wasn't from that.
Okay.
I don't know. So,
do you know that what I was going to mention this to you? My house overlooks the Mediterranean.
Okay.
And I can actually see on a clear day, I can see Africa very clearly.
Beautiful. How many miles is that?
About 20 miles.
Okay, so at 20 miles, the calculation is miles squared times 8 inches. So 20 times 20 times 8 divided by 12. There should be 266 feet of curvature. Okay, 260 feet. That's not a lot. I mean, that's 26 stories. If there was a 26-story building at the shoreline there, you shouldn't be able to see it.
Sure.
Now, you could see it, but if you got a super zoom camera, I bet you can see the shoreline, right?
You can. On a clear day, you can actually see vehicles traveling along.
Yeah.
Now, the other day, I saw 12 lights in the sky that weren't on the sea, and they weren't on the mountains, and they were in a perfect line. So I opened the patio door because I wondered if it was just an illusion. I stepped outside and I could see them. So I went back inside to get my camera. When I went in to get my camera, I came back out and they'd all gone.
Huh.
I haven't worked that one out yet.
All right. So, and again, anything above our heads or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. So we're going to go into speculation world right here. Let's talk about the ISS for a second, the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The International Space Station is about the size of a 747.
Okay.
Right. Pretty big. If you've been on a lot of planes, 747 is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's about the size. Yeah. It's gigantic. So here's a little graphic, that's about football field, 747. So if you ever walk underneath the 740, inside they're big, but if you ever look at one from the outside, they're big. Like how the hell do those things fly? Right.
Yeah.
And, then you put it up to cruising altitude. It goes from football field to a pencil eraser held at arm's length, a little gray dot. You can't even tell what airline it is because you can't see the colors on the tail because it's just too far away. And it's pretty dim even on a clear day.
Yeah.
So angular size, it went from football field to a little tiny spot in the sky. If you doubled the distance, would you still be able to see it? Any thinking mind would say, absolutely not. It's too small. Its angular size is too small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you did the calculations, you'd find out the angular size is too small. Your eye could not resolve it. The space station that we see, you ever track the space station and see it come by?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see it. It's 50 times higher, 50 times higher than a 747. It's physically impossible to see that light. right? That makes no sense. And then if you look at it, it's brighter than any star in the sky. How is a space station, a dirty space station where we've seen the walks that they do?
Yeah.
You know, the spacewalks, it's not lit up like the sun. It doesn't have LED lights all over it. It's just regularly lit. How is it showing? How is it looking like fire in the sky? It looks like a piece of the sun. Okay. And it's ridiculous. And the answer to that is, it's not the space station we're seeing, right? And by the way, this isn't the space station either. It was filmed in the National Buoyancy Lab pool, where they have a mock-up where they do all their spacewalks in a pool. And the pools have green screens, so they can do stuff like this, okay? Why would they need green screens in a training pool? Okay?
Yeah.
So we've just, if you followed me on the size and everything, it's impossible to see it at twice the height, let alone 50 times the height of a 747. So what the hell is it, right? All of the stars that we see in the sky, all the constellations, they never change. Like if you go out and mark where the stars are in the sky next year, same night, same time, go out, all of those stars will be in the exact same position. The only things that won't be in the exact same position are the wandering stars, which are now called planets. Okay. They act like stars. They look like stars. They don't look like dirty rocks reflecting sunlight. And they go on their own path and on a perfect cycle. So getting back to what is the ISS, I think the ISS is some sort of sentient luminary that showed up in the 1990s or whenever they put up this space station. Whenever they said they put up the space station, and it's a sentient luminary. This is my opinion, right? And now with Elon Musk putting up all of these Starlink satellites that everyone's starting to see, and they're showing them on star charts. I don't know. I'm not a biblical guy, but there's a lot of stuff about the returning of the gods, the returning of the luminaries. Like we're in biblical times right now, and perhaps these things are returning and the elite know it. So they're like, hey, we're going to put up Starlink. You know, all that Starlink stuff is nonsense. Did you know that NASA is the biggest consumer and producer of helium in the world? They have dozens of programs. They have tens of thousands of satellites, up to like 8,000 pounds, hanging from balloons that go into the sky. They launch them in Antarctica, and they can control them by their heights in the wind currents where they go, that are all over the earth. And we don't hear about them. They don't tell us about them because satellites orbiting a spinning ball don't exist, but satellites hanging from balloons for a fraction of the cost, the supposed cost of a satellite, is a reality. So again,
what do you say about the astrological world and the spiritual world that are saying right now that on the 21st of December, the planets will be in total alignment for the first time in 28,000 years?
Yeah. So the sky, as I was showing with the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, is a clock. A lot of people refer to it as the sky clock. Mm-hmm. And, if we lived in this heliocentric beehive of planets and everything buzzing around, everything would just be chaos. But, the sun marks the days, the moon marks the months, the constellations mark the seasons. These planets, when they align up, they mark epochs.
Yeah.
And this is the changing, is this the dawning of the age of Aquarius? Were they trying to tell us something? A lot of people believe that it is, including myself. I don't know.
And me.
I don't know what it means. I think, if you ask me, which you are, is we are going into a turnover, an awakening, and the elite are doing everything they can to stop it. But I think we got ahead of, I think they didn't expect the internet to, it got away from them, and this information is getting out. There's always been flat earthers on Earth. You just haven't heard about it until the internet made it so we could find each other, right? There's pockets of people, all through time. Robotham and all these other scientists over time were saying the Earth is flat, it's not stationary. And then scientists tried to do experiments to prove rotation and curvature, and they all failed. They all proved flat and stationary, but you don't learn about those peer-reviewed studies in school. Okay. So people say we've known the earth is flat for 500 years. Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows in Greece figured it out within 2%. Amazing. Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson, those deceivers, convinced everybody that that's a true story. It's not a true story. They made it up in the 1980s and stuck it into Rockefeller textbooks. And even if it was a real story, it doesn't make any sense because it works on a flat earth too. The same results you would get on a flat earth with a small local sun. Okay. The sticks and shadows experiment, right? Where one stick had no shadow and the other one had a shadow. Well, look at this. On my flat table here, I got these two posts, and there's a light over this one, so there's no shadow, right? Mm-hmm. And then this post over here, if the light's over here, I get a shadow.
Yeah.
I can do a calculation and tell you the sphericity of my table, but my table is actually flat. So the whole thing is nonsense. Here's the amazing thing. In January of this year, 2020, I interviewed a 102-year-old woman. I was talking to her about the World's Fairs, and she was telling me details about when she was 5 years old at her birthday party. And I'm like, wow, she's got a great memory. And I was like, I wonder what they taught her in school. And I asked her where she went to school, knew the teacher, knew the school. She just remembered everything. And I said, what did they teach you in science class about the earth? And she goes, they taught me the earth was flat. I had never mentioned flat earth to her in the 1920s. Okay. Then we found another woman from Croatia who said in the 1930s, everyone in Croatia knew the earth was flat. But then these world wars started and all the history was just being erased. So everyone on earth knew the earth was flat until there was some sort of takeover in the early 1900s where they wiped out the previous civilization. There was a reset, some kind of reset, it was going on. And, everyone was wearing masks back then in 1918. Everyone got, all the soldiers came back from war and they were all sick, not because they were traveling to foreign lands, because they all got vaccinated. So then they convinced the entire country to get, so they wouldn't make the soldiers sick. Our heroes, don't make the heroes sick. You better get, everyone got vaccinated. And then there was a reset of the population. I'm not saying that's happening now, but it's happening now.
It's happening now. Yeah.
So
it's amazing how we don't learn anything from history, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're fast asleep in our history lessons.
Yeah. Here's an exercise in the National Buoyancy Lab, and then with the green screens, and then here's our final product.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? It's insane. This is with.
Yeah.
We live in a cartoon world, and people just believe it. So. Why the lie? And here's the answer. Why the lie? It's because, Charlie, if you believe that, there was a big bang and an explosion and lightning struck and created an amoeba and it turned into a monkey and the monkey turned into a human, and that you're spinning out of control on an insignificant speck in a godless or distant God universe, you've given away your divinity, your power. You've given away your true self. But if you realize that you are at the center of creation, this place was created for you, that you are a sentient, powerful, free-willed, God-created creature, you take your power back. And then once you start to understand on top of that, the elite, crappy word for them, I'll just change that to scumbags, they have no power over us. They can't do anything to us unless we agree. They always tell us what we're doing, and if we're too stupid to say no, then we're saying yes.
Do you know what the biggest thing that you said today that's convinced me that you're right is the fact of your belief in God. And we're up against a satanic government and media that have lied to us from day one. And I think that plays very strongly into your hand to open people's mind up that we've been lied to by the media and by the government, which are satanic. And when you start talking the truth, people suddenly, the only reason I've got a following is certainly not for my looks. It's down to the fact that I'm telling the truth. And I've lived in a world full of lies all my life. So I know what one looks like. And now, when you start telling the truth, the truth makes sense. And what you're saying makes sense when you open up your mind. But there's so many people in the world that have got such a closed mind due to the programming of mainstream media and government lies, that when you start, I've learned in my life to open up my mind and open up my heart and look at things with I have this saying in my videos: your mind is like a parachute. It's absolutely useless when it's closed.
Absolutely.
And if you go into something and look at it with an open mind and an open heart, you might go into certain things and go, well, you know, I don't believe it, but it was an interesting journey. Fine, no problem. But have a look at it and make an informed judgment based on fact rather than what we've been told.
Charlie, the globe trolls, we call them, will say, you know, there's no sense in showing you a proof of the globe because you'll just deny it. You're unwilling to change your mind. I've believed in the globe my entire life.
Yeah, sure.
And I didn't change my mind for popularity because it wasn't pretty 6 years ago when you said the word flat earth. Not like now everyone's like, yeah, this is interesting. I want to talk about it because this awakening is happening. The last several interviews, people have told me stories that they always laughed at flat earth or they never even heard of it until their 12-year-old started asking them about it. So this younger generation who's less set in their ways, they're still learning, their minds are still pliable, they're wakening up to flat earth. I'm wondering where they're seeing it. I mean, they're seeing it on the internet, but this is a really hopeful sign that I've seen recently that, you know, the kids are convincing the older dogs like you and I and everyone else to look into it.
I don't mind though. With the young kids now, I love the fact that they challenge the way of thinking. What I didn't like with the younger kids was the fact that they believed everything they were told. So when I get them, the young ones that are challenging it, I take my hat off to them and say, "Go for it, fella, go for it." And right. I enjoy seeing young men and young women standing up and going, "You've made this statement, justify it, tell me." Whereas before, the woke generation in the 20s, 2000s, millennials as we call them, they've been completely brainwashed into a lie on so many aspects of life. I've seen so many things. It was like the global warming thing when that came along, and I started to do some research, and all their figures are based on short term. Whereas if you go back 1,000 years and then or 2,000 years, and you'll see that they didn't complain like bitches in the Ice Age. And it goes through a cycle, the climate, and this is all a money-making machine. In basic common sense is we have to look after our planet. That's common sense. So all the other stuff, sorry.
It is a money-making machine, but it's not about the money. The money is just a way to control us.
Yeah,
money
sure.
is all in your head. It's all nonsense.
Sure.
And it's just a way to control us.
Sure.
So I'm sure you're aware of that. People we're so used to, we need money to function in society, but, we need to find ways to get away from the dollar.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency is kicking butt right now. And I also I make hot sauce. I make the greatest hot sauce on earth, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? But I won't sell it to anybody. I'd rather give it to them, but I trade. I'll trade. What do you got? I make hats. Oh, I'll take a hat. Here's some hot sauce. Start trading with people that you know. It's a small gesture, but the energy of a trade is way better than using these satanic dollars.
I totally agree with you. It's called bartering, and the government hates it because they suddenly say, "Well, hang on, we're not making anything out of you."
Yeah, but they're not taking anything from us. They don't care about money because they go like this, and money's made, right?
Yeah.
But something like $10 just for a benchmark of a trade doesn't sound like a lot. But the energy in that is freeing and satisfying and amazing. Just try it. If you knit socks, trade a pair of knit socks to somebody that, makes beer. I don't know, whatever you like. Just find somebody and trade.
Exactly right. No, I totally agree with you. And it's so satisfying. Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and we'll do it again because I'm loving this. It's informative, and what it does is it challenges people to look for the truth. You don't, as I've said the whole way through my journey, you don't have to believe me. I'm not the Messiah. I'm just Charlie. Right. Have a look and
Charlie,
do your own research.
Yeah. So again, in these crazy times with all of this nonsense going on, Why do we care about the shape of the earth? We don't care about the shape of the earth. We care about the lie. We care about taking back our power. And if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, you can't make proper decisions. You can't, ground yourself. I'm standing on solid ground, the center of creation. I'm safe. There's no shortages. There's nothing. I can make better decisions. I have more power. I have more energy. And that's going to make the world better. Our job here is to maintain control of our soul and not sell our soul. And this soul lure system is stealing your soul. So if you hate flat earth, download the app. It's $2.99. You can scan this code right here if you're looking on a computer, or you can just search Flat Earth app, or I'll give Charlie a link to put in there.
We'll put the links down below so you can
Flat Earth Clock app. If you love Flat Earth, get the app. If you hate Flat Earth, get the app. Watch the daily video that's in the corner just every day for 2 weeks, and guaranteed you'll be better off and on your way. And what happens is people say, hey, I saw you on the Charlie Ward show and I bought your stupid app because, I wanted to prove you wrong. And I didn't want to wait every day. So I hit the archive button and up come all the videos that have been on the app. I haven't slept in 2 days and my family thinks I'm crazy now. What do I do? And I'm like, welcome to Flat Earth. And, that all the questions are answered in there. There's it's a wealth of information. People love it. It's a great way to start your day too. You get up in the morning, boom, you watch a 2-minute video, a 5-minute video, and then you go on from there.
Absolutely brilliant, David.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, Charlie. Thanks. Have a good day.
You too, buddy. All the best.